Sure, just being out in the world, right? I mean, everything that's ever happened good in your life, the spouse that you've met, the friend that you've made, generally didn't happen, you know, they didn't knock on your door and say, hi, I'm here, right? You met out in the world. And I'm amazed by how many people don't get that. STP, see the people, be out in the world. Every dollar that you've ever gotten, you got from somebody else. You better be really good at how to connect with these other somebody else's. Right? And that's why the people that kind of sequester themselves in their house and never go out, or they sequester themselves in their office and they never go out, and they wonder why things aren't working for them. Well, I don't know. Maybe just be out in the world. That's a great help. But and the other thing is that we talk about in this, the other thing is D-Tech, which is another one of the aspects of sales triage is D-Tech. You know, I can't tell you how many times people would be faithful at making posts on social media, and they do all this kind of electronic stuff, and they, again, sequester themselves in their house. They never go out in the world. They never make any face-to-face contacts, or even, God forbid, phone-to-phone contacts. And again, they wonder why they struggle. And we have a concept which is called move to the left, which supports the whole concept related to the D-Tech. And all that essentially says in the move to the left is, when you make an initial contact with somebody, let me get a different color here. So this is your initial contact, right? If that initial contact is made on some kind of online source, a Facebook or a LinkedIn or Instagram or whatever that online source is, your goal is to move it away from this anonymous, anonymity situation into something where you can have more contact. So, again, we use the example of Match.com because it's such a great example. So when you meet someone at an online dating service, right? Do they tell you your name, your phone number, who you are, where you are, everything? No. You're created anonymously. Maybe a picture, right? Hopefully it's you, right? But, maybe a picture, and that's how you get started with. And you have your conversation kind of within that platform. Then if within that platform goes good, then what's your next step? Right? Sometimes a text or an email or something like that, right?
A poke.
A poke, yeah, whatever it is. Right? But the idea is, watch what's happening now. So I start on this online platform, right? Facebook, LinkedIn, Match.com, whatever it is. If that relationship starts to cultivate, I move from that into maybe an email or something like that. We move out of that platform, right? We're still kind of in that online world, but we're out of that platform. So it's a little less anonymous. Now they know your email address, certainly your name, sometimes a phone number. Then you move from that email into a phone. All right? It could be a phone, it could be a Zoom, it could be a Skype, some kind of generally phone, text, some version of that. And in a perfect world, and continuing that Match.com philosophy, if all these things go good, and you've gone on the platform initially, off the platform into an email or something like that, email then moves into something on the phone, then if all things go well, what's the next step?
Face-to-face.
Face-to-face. So if you think about it right now, your goal is what? So the idea in the Match.com philosophy, exactly the same as on ours, right? So for example, somebody goes to your website, online platform, and does some kind of, send me some information, right? They give you an email address, you send them a white paper. So you move from the online platform, you move then to that email or some kind of contact. From the contact, you have generally a phone conversation of some kind. And that phone conversation then generally, hopefully in a perfect world, then goes to the face-to-face. The problem being is that the farther you start to the right, the harder it is to go to the left. All right? So that if you start here, it's harder to go here because a lot of people want to stay here. Right? I've had people many times say, well, I sent you a thing on Facebook. And I was like, well, okay, that'd be great if I go to Facebook 100 times a day. Right? But if I go to Facebook twice a week, what am I not going to see? Whatever you sent me, right? Because you're the one and only person that apparently only communicates through Facebook, right? All of the real players in the world, we're over here, right? Trump's not going to, send a note Facebook to Putin like, we got to cut this crap out. It's not going to happen. So what I tell my clients is not only do I want you to D-Tech, all right, which means that technology is not your friend in all cases. I'm not saying don't use it. Google AdWords are an amazing thing to use, right? But what does Google AdWords want you to do? It pushes you into a conversation. So your real value is here. So if I start here, am I not further ahead than if I'm here and had to fight through these two steps? Absolutely. Well, if this right here, that phone call, that's your cold call, right? You start where you're hoping all of this stuff will lead, which is a phone conversation. The problem being is if you make a mistake here, nobody corrects you. If you send an email to somebody introducing your company and they're not the right person, right? When was the last time somebody said, you know, hey John, you sent me an email about this. I'm not the right guy, talk to Joe. No, it never happens. It's delete and that's it. How many emails do you get a day? How many do you look at, right? For some reason, I get hundreds of them. And some of the stuff that they apparently think that I'm, you know, struggling with, right, are very surprising because I've given them no indication that that's a problem, all right? The idea is I want you to start here. I want you to detect, right? Instead of sending 50 emails, I'd rather you make 5 phone calls because I will tell you that 5 phone calls is better. It will give you definitive information. Yes, no, contact person, where they are, who they are, what they do, what role they play, how you can help. This gives you very little. I'm not saying we don't use it. Okay, I want to make sure that I say that. I'm not saying there isn't a time and a place for all things related to technology. There is. But professional selling is still a face-to-face, eye-to-eye, belly-to-belly business. That's not going to change. I would rather you start with a cold call. Then fight your way up from this way. In a perfect world, I want you to walk in the door. Walk in the door. Now that, by the way, when I say walk in the door face-to-face, that's right here. Right? That face-to-face could just as easily be a networking relationship. That face-to-face could easily be something where your target, your optimum target prospect, goes and goes frequently. How much further do you think you're going to get ahead when you're standing right across, you know, you're looking and talking to the person that actually has the check? You think you're going to be able to make more headway than the fight from this guy? Absolutely. And yet most people enjoy the anonymity. They get excited about the idea that they sent out, you know, 5,000 emails. Right? Anybody know what the percentages of the openings of those emails are?
21.1% on the average.
Well, that's even to look at them. I mean, actually, yeah.
Open.
Yeah, now, and if you have an attachment, it plummets. Because people are normally afraid of attachments because they think there's something negative attached to it, right? So even if it's something you want to talk about, the mere fact there's an attachment on it automatically discredits that. So when you do things, anybody that uses Constant Contact or any of those other ones, and they look down, they get like 9% open, you know, 10%, right? You sent out 5,000, you maybe had 500, and some lesser portion of that may have actually even looked at it. But you're all excited because you sent out 5,000, like, man, money's going to roll in. Never happens. Never happens. So when I say detect, it doesn't mean that there is no room for tech. But if this is all you do, you will struggle. You will struggle.